Smoke good, eat good, fuck good, everything good. Just another day in the MIA. Smoke good, eat.
Let's talk about last week NFL. Thursday night, they had us a game between the Seahawks and the Cardinals. It wasn't one of those that we were like, who's going to win this game? We kind of knew that the Seahawks were going to win the game. We knew that they were way better. We knew no Carson Palmer, so Drew Stanton was the QB for the Cardinals. Adrian Peterson really struggled. Best player for the Cardinals in this game was definitely Larry Fitzgerald. He had 10 catches, I think 113 yards or something like that around there. Seahawks played pretty well. Jimmy Graham had a couple of TDs. Russell Wilson did his thing. The defense helped out, and they got the win. Saints absolutely slaughtered the Bills. Now, I'm going to claim it here. Best running back combination in the NFL is Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram. The new Thunder and Lightning, reminds me of the Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams of the Carolina, back in the Carolina days. Maybe not the same style of runners type, but just that 1-2 punch. A lot of times with types of running backs like that, you get one punch and the second punch is a little bit weak or whatever. That's how most teams are. This is a 1-2 punch. It's ridiculous. Great balance. Breeze has to do less and less every week. Michael Thomas and him and Breeze's chemistry is out of this world. This team is really good. Bills obviously didn't come to play. Bills are a team that if their defense doesn't keep them in the game, if they can't sit on the ball, if they can't move the ball, and their defense stops the other team, then they really can't stay in games. Obviously, with this one, they lost 47-10. It was one of those, the Saints just kept going. Like, Saints would get the ball back, score again. Saints would get the ball back, score again. Saints would get the ball back. And the Bills are so used to being able to punt. Their defense plays well. They get the ball back and they score a couple of their possessions. They don't have a high-power offense, so the Bills really rely on their defense, and that did not happen. So Saints get the win on the road. I think that's 5 in a row for the Saints. Saints are looking really good, but the Panthers are definitely on their heels. Packers and Bears. This was kind of if you're a bettor and you're betting on this one, the Bears, the closing line was -4 for the Bears. And it was one that you're kind of like, I might take that, knowing that the Bears have been playing better lately. The Packers weren't as good, but as you saw, you kind of got trapped. Packers got out to a pretty big lead early. Well, not big lead, but obviously with the added spread, it was a big lead. But the Packers got out pretty good. They did lose Aaron Jones. Ty Montgomery got hurt, so that was tough. Jamal Williams did do good when he did come in. So picking up, waiver wire, he might be a guy you can add this week if you need to fill a spot. And Bears, Bears have a real stagnant offense. It wouldn't really run the ball that well. Packers did a good job. Their defense played better than they did against the Lions for sure. But I think the main thing in this game was Hundley actually was able to get the ball down the field a bit. They continued with their balance of run and pass, but he's really starting to develop a little bit of a chemistry with Devontae Adams. Adams had some huge catches, a one-handed catch down the field to end the game when it was 3rd and 10, and then, well, it didn't really end the game, but it could have ended the game. And then he got a touchdown pretty late. Adams really sealed the deal in this one for Green Bay. And, Bears offense continues to struggle. It's kind of like an old-school team, tough defense, running game, and a manager at the quarterback position. So, tough there. Bears just got down too much throughout the game and really couldn't come back. They have a really stagnant offense, though. If it doesn't get going, it just doesn't go at all. And a lot of the points that they've had in the last couple weeks where they've got wins is points from their defense. Green Bay didn't turn the ball over. Cleveland played really good to start this game. They're up 10-0. And then, obviously Lions, started to bounce back. Right before half, had a really ugly play. About 10 seconds left. They went for a QB sneak. And the defense, how they do, they kind of lay on the offense a little bit so that the offense can't get up and get to the line. And Cleveland didn't have any timeouts, and they couldn't get up there and spike the ball. So Cleveland missed an opportunity there. Crowell was running all over the Lions. I talk about Crowell often this year because he's on my fantasy teams. and I drafted him pretty early thinking he could be good, thinking the Browns weren't going to be the dog shit that they were. I didn't think they were going to be good, but I thought that they'd be serviceable. He was pretty serviceable last year. And, the first of the year he started really bad, and in the middle of games he really wasn't bad. They were average output, 6 to 8, 9, but it wasn't enough that I'm like, I want to start him every week. He hadn't got a touchdown. I feel like he was a touchdown-type back. He had a really big week this week, though. He had a TD. He's had 15 points in fantasy his last two outings, and he had 90 yards rushing. And he really did pound the defensive line well. And Detroit has a good defensive line. They shut the Packers down last week, so I was I started Crowell, but I was surprised that he did as well as he did. Golden Tate had a huge game, 6 receptions, 97 yards, and a TD. He's a slot monster. Lions were able just to handle it in the second half. Cleveland was right there. Cleveland was up 24-17 in the third. They scored 2 touchdowns in the third, but then obviously Stafford was able to answer, and then Stafford got a couple TDs in the fourth, a 40-yard touchdown to Tate to seal it. So let's go Steelers Colts. Juju on the beat. Hey, so Juju did it again. I started Juju. I was kind of nervous. I didn't know if I want to start him this week. I didn't know if he was going to do it again. But, in a game where Pittsburgh struggled the entire game, until about the fourth quarter, Juju was like the only guy that was doing anything. Antonio Brown was non-existent. Bell got his 26 carries, 80 yards. Fantasy-wise, you look at your fantasy, Bell did pretty good for me. But the main guy this game was Juju. And so the Colts got off to a big lead to start. They're up 10-0. Dante Moncrief caught a 60-yard touchdown from Brissett. Big Ben was doing his normal bullshit through a pick. It was just, not moving the ball the right way. Before half, they were able to get down. Chris Boswell was able to get him a field goal. And then second half start, Chester Taylor got him a 60-yard touchdown for the Colts. So the Colts are up 17-3. And then as that goes on, Pittsburgh starts to answer. They score a touchdown, Juju on the beat. And then in the fourth, the Colts offense starts to get stagnant. Brissett's starting to get hit a lot. That defensive line is all over him. And then Vance McDonald's able to get a touchdown to start the fourth, 17-17. And then Boswell misses a field goal pretty late in the game. But the Colts, you know how they are. They go 3 and out again. Pittsburgh gets the ball back. Antonio Brown gets a long play, and they're able to set up Boswell for the 33-yarder to get the win. So good win for the Steelers. Steelers are 7-2, flying high in the AFC. Jaguars and Chargers. So this was a game. I'm real happy about this game. This is a game that the spread was 5.5. For Jacksonville. It was I think it was even lower. It was 4, and it kept rising. So I was thoroughly surprised because this is a game that I already had picked the Chargers to win before I even seen the spread. So when this game, the Chargers didn't win. That sucks. But this was a defensive good, 2 good defensive lines going at each other. The first touchdown of the game was special teams for the Jaguars. The Jaguars special teams does it again. They score another. It was a fake punt, 56 yards, Corey Grant. And then the best player for the Chargers today was Austin Eckler. He had 2 TDs, a rushing or 2 passing touchdowns from Phillip Rivers. He's been a pretty big piece in the passing game. He's got a couple of touchdowns throughout the year. And this was his best game. Now, in the second half, Marquise Lee tied the game up 14-14. He got a TD, and he got the 2-point conversion, so both that. And then Chargers scored in the fourth. It went up 17-14. And then Austin Eckler had a huge fumble. Then Bortles threw a pick. And then Chargers had the punt. Jags got the ball back, kicked a field goal to end the game at 17, or go to overtime 17-17. And then Rivers, like I say every week, the reason that the Chargers lose is because Rivers has a turnover or something. He throws a pick in the overtime, and they lose the game by a field goal. But in bigger news, down the stretch it was 17-14 Chargers, and I was asking, can Bortles bring their team back? Can Bortles do something without somebody else doing something to win this game? And he didn't. He fucking sucks. I hate Blake Bortles. I don't even know how he's in the NFL. and he's on a 6-3 team. He's looking good on a 6-3 team, and he's total ass. But that's like that. The thing is like the NFL's gotten so away from what used to win games, and it was defense, running the ball, and that's what the Jaguars do. Like, you don't need a big time. Like, we're starting to realize you don't need a big time quarterback to win games, to be a successful team. You look at Minnesota. Case Keenum's doing it. You look at the Jags. The Jags are doing it. But anyways, Bucks, Jets. This was an ugly game. McCown versus Fitzgerald, two of the old timers in the league. Both of them struggled. No Mike Evans. And Deshaun Jackson, he had a pretty good game. 6 receptions, 82 yards. Robbie Anderson had 4 catches, 85 yards, a touchdown. He's had a touchdown in like 3 or 4 straight games. If he's available in leagues, you might want to go grab him. Doug Martin struggled. Jets don't really have a running game. Forte didn't play. But yeah, Tampa Bay was able to win the game. They're up like 15-3 for. They were up most of the game by field goal was 6-3, 9-3, and then went up 15-3. Tough game for the Jets. I kind of expected Bucks to. I thought Fitzpatrick would have a bigger game than that, but on his other older team. But so then Titans Bengals. This was another game I was kind of like I was watching spread wise. It was 4.5. And I know the Titans, they always play about as good as the team that they're playing. So I thought, I might take that one. That's a good one to look at. And throughout the game, they were up by 4 most of it, and they ended up winning by 4. So, the spread they didn't necessarily, I don't know how you would say that. They didn't necessarily cover the spread, but they did about how I thought they would, is what I'm trying to say. But anyways, Titans. The main thing about this game was DeMarco Murray. DeMarco Murray had the 3 TDs. Brandon LaFell got a TD, and then A.J. Green got a TD late. But, going into halftime, it was 17-13 Titans. When the second half started, it was real slow. Nobody could really move the ball. They're having issues. It looked like it was probably going to be 17-13. And then Titans went down the field. They were about to score a touchdown. And then Corey Davis, like an idiot, tries to go over the pylon. Doesn't even get in. Wasn't even close. He basically threw the ball out of bounds. And so the Bengals get the ball back at the 20. Then after that, they punt. And then they score the 70-yard touchdown from A.J. Green with about 5 minutes left. And then Mariota drives him down the field late and gets the win. DeMarco Murray gets the game-winning TD. But so, yeah, good for DeMarco Murray and his fantasy owners, because he's really struggled this year. But I'm sure most of the people that had DeMarco Murray didn't start him this week, and he had the 3 TDs, so that sucks. But so let's talk about Vikings, Redskins. This was a game I was real excited about, and in the first half, it didn't disappoint. It was a real good game. Maurice Harris had a pretty good 36-yard touchdown, one-handed. And then, Vikings answered right back. Stephon Diggs had a real big play. I was nervous about starting Diggs because he just hasn't played that well lately, and he had 2 really good weeks. But I decided to go ahead and start him. It worked out. Something else about Sunday, I figured out. I realized I was like, oh yeah, he's from that DC area. I remember last year when he came to the Redskins, I think he scored a touchdown and he had a pretty good game, so I was feeling a little bit better about starting him at that point. So, and then in the second quarter, he caught a TD. They were up 14-10. Kirk Cousins drove right down the field again, 17-14. And then Thielen caught a touchdown. They went up 21-17. Thielen had a really big game. Thielen, I'm giving him a nickname since we got Jordy Nelson as a white, what do they call White Lightning? So we're going with White Thunder for Adam Thielen, because he's really not your little slot guy. Jordy Nelson's not your slot guy. This isn't your typical little slot receiver. It's a big boy. So he had 166 yards receiving, a TD. He's had over 5 catches in all of his games this year. He's the only receiver to do that. So good for him. So then Cousins, trying to force shit, throws a pick right after that. Minnesota capitalizes on that. Going into half, 28-17. Then Minnesota gets the ball back coming out of half, 35-17. So, again, we talk about the Redskins and them shooting themselves in the foot, them game planning, them being right where they need to be. And then, boom, something happens and their game plan gets completely fucked. I mean, we go from them being down 21 to 17, thinking, okay, we're going into the half 31 to 17, to coming back with the ball, and it's 35 to 17 now. Like this is like 2 or 3 weeks now where they've had a lead, or they've been right there, and then they come back out like their next possession and they're down by a bunch of different. They're about down by 2 or 3. And in the fourth quarter, Keenum threw 2 back-to-back picks, kind of got the Redskins back in it. Cousins was able to score a run, was able to get a QB sneak on one, and then they scored a field goal late. They had 2 times where they were driving down the field, and they went for it around like the 40-30 in Minnesota's area, and they couldn't get it. So Washington was right there. Washington had a couple of plays that if they could have gone a different way, they could have been right there. But real good game. Minnesota played really good, but Minnesota did kind of step off the gas in the second half, and it did get a little bit closer. Rams, Texans, this isn't really one to talk about. Fucking Savage is a fucking idiot. Well, I don't want to call him an idiot because he hasn't done anything. Well, yeah, he's an idiot. He just sucks. I mean, I don't understand why he was even the start. Like, my thing is like, oh, Bill O'Brien, he's doing such a great job with Deshaun Watson, I'm like, Bill O'Brien has been watching these guys all fucking summer, and he couldn't fucking tell you that Deshaun Watson wasn't better than fucking Tom Savage. Like, he let Tom Savage start game 1. So, I don't know. I don't know what the lull behind the Savage kid is. He must be a really nice guy, but he's a fucking shitty quarterback. I mean, we have situations where, like, you got Texans fans being like, oh, look, he just did that. That was great. And you're like, wait, hold it. And then the next play throws a pick or something. Like, he just doesn't. I mean, Rams, Goff jumped all over him. Goff played really well. 355 yards, 3 TDs. Gurley, the 68 yards. Robert Woods, 8 receptions, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns. Sammy Watkins got a TD. Hopkins still is doing good, though. Hopkins has 7 receptions, 111 yards. But Houston's defense sucks for them. They're really not that bad, and they're getting there's no help on the offensive end for them. Falcons, Cowboys. So Cowboys, having to adjust with no Zeke. In bigger news, I think Cowboys Chaz Green. He probably doesn't have a job anymore, or he probably won't be in the NFL for very much longer. Adrian Claiborne made him his bitch on Sunday. Adrian Claiborne has one pass move. He bull rushes. He's a guy that's been in the league for multiple years. He's out of Iowa. He's pretty good. He's a big boy. And he had 6 sacks by himself. So Dak couldn't do shit. Dak had no time to do nothing. Obviously, if you can't throw the ball, you can't run the ball. Alfred Morris, they only ran Alfred Morris 11 times. When they have Zeke, they run Zeke 30 times. So Alfred Morris, I know Rod Smith got some carries, but 53 yards for Morris. The thing is this was one of those games Atlanta played exactly like how Atlanta plays. Atlanta scored on some possessions. Atlanta didn't score on some possessions. It was just the fact that Dallas wasn't even doing anything. Dallas wasn't even playing with them. Dallas was playing their own game, and Atlanta was playing a completely different game. And it's basically that first possession, Dallas scored, and then they didn't do anything the whole rest of the game. It was ugly. But don't be afraid of adding Terrence Williams or Cole Beasley. I think it was a bad week, and I think they'll start to recover after this. But and it's not a game that you wanted to lose. You're in a battle there in the NFC for the wild card spot, and now Atlanta's tied with you. You're on the cusp of you're out, and you're on the cusp of being even more out with more losses. Big game against the Eagles this week. 49ers, Giants. CJ Beathard, man. Golly, where did this boy come from? He's playing with a lot of confidence. Marquise Goodwin had a good game. Well, Marquise Goodwin had one good play, 83 yards, 1 touchdown. Carlos Hyde almost had 100 on the ground, but Beathard almost threw for 300 yards. And at this point, I think the Giants are just about tanking. Sterling Shepard had himself a game, 11 receptions, 142 yards. Darkwa, 70 yards on the ground. That's kind of underachieving for what we thought he would do in this game. But, the Giants, it was close, at halftime, but then in the fourth quarter, San Francisco just took over, went up 31 to 13, Giants it's sad how bad they are, but at the same point, it's New York. It's a big city, so we're getting to the point of like, we're trying to fire McAdoo, and it's like there's no reason to like be winning. Like, he's got two things that we're trying to do. We're trying to fire McAdoo, and at the same time, we're trying to like make it look like we're trying to win. But at the same time, there's no reason to win when you're not going to make the playoffs. Like, why not just tank for a better draft pick next year? So it's kind of like, there's no reason for them to win games, but it's funny how they're like going to use the reason that they're not winning games on the fact of how bad McAdoo is. So that's cool or whatever. Patriots Broncos. Patriots slaughtered the Broncos. Honestly, I was kind of impressed with how Osweiler played. Osweiler was gunning it. Emmanuel Sanders had a good game, 6 receptions, 137 yards. But I mean, just too much Brady, too much special teams from the Patriots. I mean, it was 14-3 before they knew it. Broncos are not very good in the red zone. They kick a lot of field goals. And it was 27-9 at halftime, and it just got worse in the second half. And then Monday night, fucking Panthers, dude. Panthers slaughtered the Dolphins. Dolphins just didn't really come to play. Drake, if you started him, good. He had a 66-yard touchdown, 82 yards on the ground, a TD. Jonathan Stewart had 110 yards on the ground. He ran all over him. He hadn't had a game like that all year. Funches, 5 catches, 92 yards, 2 TDs. Huge game for Funches. He's obviously that new number 1 receiver. And just a good all-around game for the Panthers. Defense played good. It was kind of like a little Monday night showcase, just kind of showcasing the Panthers. But yeah. And so let's talk about the next week. When we talk about next week, we got Titans-Steelers. Thursday night game. I like that. We got a good Thursday night game. I'll take Steelers for sure. Steelers are hot. I think, Titans are going to play better because, Titans play about how whoever they're playing. So Titans will play better, but definitely taking the Steelers to win this game at home, and I'm starting Juju on the beat. Lions and Bears. Let's go Lions. I think Stafford might have some turnovers. I think he might help the Bears stay in the game a bit. But I'll take Lions for sure to win. Opening line is 3 points for the Lions. I'd take it. That's really not a lot. That's really not asking the Lions to win by a lot. And then I didn't say on the Steelers-Titans ones, but the Steelers are the opening lines at 7 for the Steelers. I would take the Titans on that because I don't see the Steelers winning by more than 7. Opening line, you might not want to do that on Thursday, but opening line, we can do that. Ravens-Packers opening line is -2 for Baltimore. I'm gonna take the Packers. I've liked what I've seen last week out of the Packers. Even though they don't have a running back, I think Hundley's getting more and more confidence, and I like that chemistry between him and Adams. Ravens off a bye week, we'll see. I think, their backfield situation, we'll see who's the guy. Is it Collins? Is it Woodhead? Is it Terrence West? I think that's going to be a big question mark of how that is. And I think mainly is how the defense plays against Hundley is a big key, but I'll take Packers to win that one. Jags, Browns, spread 7.5. I don't know if I want to take that spread, but Jags to win the game for sure. Start your Jags defense. And I would start Fournette. Don't be afraid to start Crowell either, though. Cardinals, Texans. This is a game between two teams that don't have a quarterback. Two teams that have weapons everywhere but no quarterbacks. Good defenses. So obviously we're gonna have a lot of good little prospects and receivers and people running around, but ain't nobody gonna be able to throw to them. Because we got a huge matchup between Blaine Gabbert and Tom Savage this weekend between the Cardinals and the Texans. I'm going to take the Texans, though. I'm basically taking the Texans because I like their defense better than I like the Cardinals' defense. So we're going Texans this week. But that was a fucking toss-up. 1 point spread for the Cardinals at this point on opening line. Rams-Vikings. I can't be game of the week because the records are deceiving. These are good teams, but these aren't this isn't like that great of a rivalry. Now this is an old school, NFC. I remember seeing these teams playing championship games. This is like back in 60s, 70s, like that era. So it's an old school matchup. And Vikings are at home. I'm going to take the Vikings. I think Vikings defense is going to really show the Rams, that they talk about how many points the Rams score every week, but a lot of it is how many points the defense creates for the Rams offense. I think Vikings are going to definitely shut the Rams defense down, and I'll take Vikings to win the game. The spread's 2 for the Vikings. I'll take that as the opening line for sure, and I see that probably going up as the week goes up for the Vikings. Redskins Saints. The spread's 7.5 for the Saints. We're at a point where we're buying Saints. Everybody's buying Saints. Everybody's real high on the Saints. I'll take the Saints to win the game. But I think Redskins can cover the spread. When you look at the Redskins aren't a bad team. They have bad luck each week. That's something that sucks about them. They have a lot of bad luck. But I like the Saints to win this game at home. But I don't think they're going to win it by 7.5. Chiefs Giants. Chiefs by 10.5 is the spread. I'll take Chiefs for sure. I don't know if I want the spread. Yeah, I'll take the spread. But, I just don't – I hate taking spreads on these big games like that because you never know what's really going to happen. But, yeah, so talking about Chiefs, I think Chiefs are definitely going to win this game. I want to see if Kareem Hunt can get back on track. We'll see what that's going to be. He should be able to get back on track. It's the Giants, but that's the main thing I'm watching in this. Can Kareem Hunt get going? Bucks, Dolphins. This is one of those. It's a fucking toss-up. I think Fitzpatrick has a big game. I think Dolphins don't play good again. They'll definitely play better than they played against the Panthers. But I'm gonna take Bucks to win this game. I like Fitzpatrick. Mike Evans will be back in the lineup. That'll be good for them. Bills Chargers. This is a fun matchup. This is a game. Bills are in the playoffs right now. If you look at the AFC wild card, they're at the last wild card team, so they're fighting for a lot. They played really bad the last 2 weeks, but they're still in it this year. And I think this is going to be a good defensive game between Chargers Bills. I'm gonna go Chargers though. No, I'm not gonna go Chargers. Bills have lost 2 games in a row. I think this is a game that they bounce back and they win. Chargers they struggle at home. They always. I don't know. The Chargers to me it's tough to really see how they're gonna play. Is Rivers gonna play good? Is Gordon gonna get back on track this week? It's tough to really predict how the Chargers are gonna be. So I'm gonna take the Bills. Bengals, Broncos. I'll take Broncos. This is a game that's really not that exciting. It's one of those that the Broncos and Bengals would probably be a good game. But at the same time, what is Andy Dalton going to do to the Broncos defense? I don't know what he can do. I don't know what he will do. It's kind of one of those things will he be successful or will he not be successful? I don't know. That really depends on how the game goes. Spread's 2.5. I don't know if I take that, but I think Denver definitely wins the game. I didn't say it on the Chargers game, but Chargers spread is 4. That's one that I'm definitely not buying. I'm going Bills for sure in that one. Chargers by 4 is a little crazy to me. The Dolphins Bucks one, it's Dolphins by 1, and I'm picking Bucks. So Patriots Raiders, we got Patriots Raiders. I think Patriots for sure win. Spread 6.5. Opening line, I'd take that because I think the win by 7. That thing's gonna rise throughout the week. I don't really see the Raiders doing a whole lot. I don't see Lynch having a big game. I don't see it really. It's probably gonna be the Patriots winning that game pretty easily. Eagles Cowboys, this is probably game of the week. Cowboys got a 3.5 point spread. We'll see if they can run the ball. We'll see if they can protect Dak. But I'm going Eagles. I did not like what I saw of the Cowboys last week. I think this is gonna be a game though that the Eagles win close. But I'll take Eagles. I think Wentz gets a win in Jerry's world and helps the Eagles season out a little bit more. Falcons, Seahawks. This is a tough one, Seahawks definitely don't come to play in the first half. If the Falcons jump on them, that could be bad. Spread's 3. I don't know if I'll take that. I'd stay away from this spread just because you don't know how this one's going to go. 3 for the Seahawks. But I'll take Seahawks to win the game. You know, Falcons had a big win last week that they probably usually wouldn't have gotten. They're going to have a lot of momentum going into Seattle. It could boost their season. You know, win over Cowboys, win over Seahawks this week. But I'm going with the Seahawks to beat the Falcons. And you know, talking about wild card a little bit. Talked about the NFC a little bit earlier, and you know the fact that all those teams are close. Pittsburgh, New England, and Kansas City, Tennessee, and Pittsburgh, New England, Kansas City, those teams are basically flying pretty high. They're pretty in. And then Tennessee and Jacksonville are both 6-3 in the AFC South. We'll see. It's looking like both those teams can get in, though. There's a lot of bad teams in the AFC this year. You know, Denver and the Chargers are 3-6. Jets 4-6. Miami's 4-5. Oakland's 4-5. Baltimore's 4-5. To me, Buffalo's better than all those teams. I mean, Jacksonville's better than all those teams. So I mean, looking at the AFC, we'll see if one of these, Oakland or Baltimore, can jump in, or if Chargers or Denver can get on a hot streak or something. But Jacksonville, Buffalo looking like some wild card teams this year, which sounded kind of crazy. And then on the NFC, Philadelphia, Minnesota, New Orleans, LA, all leading their divisions, and then Carolina, Seattle are right on the outside. And then we've got 4, 5-4 teams: Atlanta, Detroit, Green Bay, Dallas, and then 2 4 and 5 teams: Arizona and Washington. I think Arizona's just about out. I keep Washington in because they play pretty good against the good teams, and they're really not that far out. But it's looking hard for them right now too. And then waiver wire next week. Some running backs. Jamal Williams is a guy that I would add. You might start Alex Collins. He was on a bye last week, so people might have dropped him. Austin Eckler, he had a really good week. You might not be too crazy about starting him, but if you need a guy, you go with him. Samaje Perine, probably starting for Robert Kelly this week. You can go with him. And then my last guy, Rex Burkhead, who had a real big week last week. I want to put him on my list. Wide receivers, Jamison Crowder, Brandon LaFell, Kenny Golladay, Martavis Bryant, and Mike Williams. Mike Williams got a couple passes. I saw Ty Williams drop a big pass, so I can see Mike Williams getting more and more playing time for the Chargers coming up. If you need some quarterbacks to stream this week, don't be afraid to stream Bortles. Don't be afraid to stream Dalton. Dalton's playing Broncos defense, but you can still stream him. Osweiler, don't be afraid to stream Osweiler. But my top stream of the week would probably be Brian Fitzpatrick playing Miami. Case Keenum, even though he's playing the Rams, I wouldn't be afraid to start him either. Tight ends, Benjamin Watson. They're playing the Packers. That'll be a good start. Julius Thomas is another good start. Jermaine Gresham. I don't know if he'll connect with that quarterback, but he really connected with Drew Stanton a lot better. And then Kendricks, the new tight end for Green Bay. We'll see if he can get a chemistry going. And then I put Bennett on my list, going back to the Patriots. He caught a couple passes. Just a guy that you might be able to stream this week. Kickers, Lambeau got a big kick last week over his former team to win the game. Kind of thought that would happen. Boswell did miss a field goal, but Boswell's a kicker I like. They're playing the Titans. Probably be a lot of field goals. Blair Walsh, he's going to be playing in a dome this week, so he should be good. Well, no, he's playing in Seattle. Never mind. But Walsh is a guy that there's not a lot of guys to add, but you might add Walsh. I don't like Walsh too much, but he's a guy I put on my list. I thought they were playing in a dome. That's the main reason I put him on this list. But now they're playing. I see they're playing in Seattle, so I don't know about this one as much. Jake Elliott, I think he's going to have a big game in Jerry's World, and then Phil Dawson is another guy. Defenses, I like Saints defense. If they're still available. Eagles, I think Eagles defense would be a good start this week. Texans defense, don't be afraid to start Texans defense. Cardinals defense, and then Chargers also. I like Chargers too. But yeah.